Feeling stuck at a job you hate, or university, or school? You can thank the Roman Empire for that. They created the blueprint for controlling people's work lives and making sure you're too busy to rebel. Sounds familiar? It's all part of a system that started thousands of years ago but still rules your 9 to 5. Stick around to see how their obsession with power is why you're still working overtime. Ever scroll through Instagram and saw a meme of Julius Caesar looking like the CEO of World Domination Inc? Well, it turns out there's a reason for that. The Romans didn't just stumble into greatness, they worked for it, and they had ton of other tricks up their togas. Welcome back to our channel. This is gonna be insane because today we are diving into the 13 reasons why the Romans became the ultimate superpower. Trust us, by the end of this video, you'll be wishing you could take a time machine back to the ancient Rome, or at least to a gladiator match. Number 1. The Roman army. They came, they saw, they conquered. Have you ever wondered how a small city on the Italian peninsula went from being just another random spot on the map to controlling half of the known world? The answer is simple. The Roman army. But wait, before you roll your eyes and think, another history lesson? Just know this, these guys were like the original Avengers, but way cooler. And they had swords. The Roman army didn't just fight, they annihilated. And they had this little trick called discipline. Unlike other armies that might just wing it in battle, the Roman soldiers trained non-stop. Imagine waking up at 5 AM every day to march around in your heavy-ass armor, practicing formations and sharpening your sword skills. Yeah, that was their life. But it paid off because they were basically undefeated. And that's not all. These soldiers were also well paid, which made being a Roman soldier not just about glory, but about that sweet coin. And here's the real kicker. Romans were so confident in their army, they built a road system just so their soldiers could invade places faster. So yeah, if you think the fast food delivery guy is impressive, imagine Roman soldiers showing up at your doorstep in record time, ready to conquer your village. Now, stay tuned, because we are about to dive into some juicy reason why Rome dominated, and spoiler alert, it's not just because they were good at war. Number 2. Roman engineering. Like Lego masters, but for real life. Let's face it, the Romans were extra. When they built something, it wasn't just functional, it was an absolute flex. Roads, aqueducts, bridges, these things weren't just for show, but man, did they make the Roman Empire look good. Their architecture was so legit that much of it is still standing today. The Colosseum? Yep, that's still around. Despite being over 2,000 years old. That's like your iPhone surviving 1,000 falls without even a crack. The secret sauce? Roman engineers were the masters of practical design. They didn't just throw things together and hope they worked. They meticulously planned out everything using maths and physics to create structures that could withstand the test of time, and possibly a few barbarian invasions. But it wasn't just about durability. They also created aqueducts, which were basically ancient water highways that brought fresh water to the cities. While the rest of the world was figuring out how to get clean water, the Romans were lounging in public baths and feeling fancy. Here's a fun fact, some of their aqueducts are still functioning today. Yeah, that's right. While we're out here calling plumbers for leaky faucets, the Romans nailed water management centuries ago. Number 3. Julius Caesar, the ultimate PR guy. Alright, so we've covered the army and engineering, but we cannot ignore the man who put extra in extraordinary. Julius Caesar. This guy wasn't just any leader. He was like the ancient world's version of an influencer. But instead of breaking the internet, he broke the Roman Republic. Picture this, you're a politician in Rome, but you're also a total celebrity. Caesar knew how to play the PR game like nobody else. He coined the famous phrases, Veni, Vidi, Vici. It's I came, I saw, I conquered. And honestly, it could have been his Instagram bio. His military conquests made him a hero, but his political savvy turned him into a legend. Caesar didn't just rule Rome, he owned it. And even though his enemies and a couple of knives brought him down, his legacy was cemented. You know you're a big deal when your name becomes a title for the future emperors, Caesar. It literally became shortened for power when you're the Caesar of the friend group because you always decide where to eat. Number 4. The Senate. Rome's drama club. You think modern politics are wild? Ancient Rome was next level. The Roman Senate was like a reality TV show where everyone had a hidden agenda. Backstabbing? Check. Betrayal? Double check. But here's the thing. While the Senate was a chaotic mess, it actually worked. Until it didn't. The Senate's power struggles kept the Roman leaders sharp, constantly vying for control and influence. It was a sort of place where deals were made, alliances were broken, and sometimes literal knives were involved. Just ask Julius Caesar. But this chaos kept Rome functioning, allowing its leaders to constantly evolve and adapt to new challenges. It's like if Survivor met House of Cards, but with more togas and fewer smartphones. Number 5. Roads, the ultimate life hack. We touched on this earlier, but the Roman road system was truly next level. These guys built over 50,000 miles of roads, which is basically like building a highway that could wrap around the planet twice. But why did they do this? Simple: fast travel. Whether you were moving troops, trade goods, or importing messages, the Roman road network made sure everything got where it needed to go quickly. Here's the kicker. While other civilians were still figuring out how to make dirt paths, the Romans were cruising down perfectly paved roads with rest stops along the way. The roads were also cleverly designed with drainage systems to prevent flooding. Talk about thinking ahead. And let's not forget the famous phrase, all roads lead to Rome. It wasn't just a saying, it was a reality. Everything in the empire was connected, with Rome at the center of it all, like the world's biggest, most organized spiderweb. And if you were a Roman soldier, well, you had front row tickets to this efficient transportation system. Number 6. Pax Romana, Rome's chill era. After centuries of fighting, Rome decided to take a chill pill. The period known as the Pax Romana, or Roman peace, lasted for about 200 years and was one of the most peaceful eras in Roman history. Think of it as that rare time in a video game when you're so overpowered that you just roam around collecting loot and doing side quests. During this time, Rome wasn't as focused on conquering new lands. They had already done most of that, but instead worked on improving their infrastructure, culture, and economy. It was like Rome finally got a chance to relax, build stuff, and watch Netflix, if Netflix were Gladiator Games. But don't get it twisted, Rome didn't get soft. They used this period to solidify their power, making their empire even stronger for the future. It's like they hit pause on the battles to recharge and come back even more unstoppable. Reason number 7. Aqueducts, Rome's secret weapon for clean water. We already mentioned aqueducts, but seriously, these things were a game changer. At the time when most cities were struggling to get fresh water, Rome was flexing with a network of aqueducts that spanned hundreds of miles. They brought water into the city for drinking, bathing, and of course, those famous Roman baths. And here is the wild part. The Romans built their aqueducts with such precision that some of them still function today. Imagine your plumbing lasting for over 2,000 years. Makes the leaky kitchen sink seem a little less annoying, right? With clean water flowing through the city, Rome became a hub of health and hygiene. While the rest of the world was still figuring out how to bathe regularly, Romans were lounging in their hot baths and gossiping about their latest conquests. Reason number 8. Bread and circuses, the ultimate distraction. The phrase bread and circuses pretty much sums up how the Roman leaders kept their people happy. The idea was simple. If you give the public free food and entertainment, they will be too distracted to worry about political problems. It was basically ancient Rome's version of Netflix and chill. Stuff like gladiator games, chariot races, and public feasts were all part of this strategy. The Colosseum was packed with spectators, all eager to see who would survive the latest match. And the best part? These events were often free. The Roman emperors knew that as long as people were entertained, they didn't question the government. And it's genius. Really, if our leaders offered us free pizza on Netflix, we probably wouldn't ask too many questions either. Reason number 9. Copycat culture. When in doubt, steal it. Why would you reinvent the wheel when you can just borrow it from someone else? That was basically Rome's philosophy. Instead of just coming up with brand new ideas, they borrowed heavily from Greeks, Etruscans, and even some of their enemies. Roman architecture, for example, was heavily influenced by Greeks. The Romans saw what worked for other civilizations and made it their own, sometimes improving it and other times just tweaking it to fit their needs. Think of it like Rome was the apple of the ancient world, taking existing concepts and making them better. This ability to adapt and absorb other cultures made Rome incredibly versatile. They didn't just conquer lands, they conquered ideas too. Reason number 10. Religion, something for everyone. The Romans were religiously inclusive. Instead of forcing their gods on conquered people, they often adapted local gods and beliefs. This made it easier for them to integrate new territories into their empire. Imagine being conquered and finding out that you can keep worshipping your local deity, but now they're just part of a bigger, fancier pantheon. Not too shabby, right? This inclusiveness helped maintain peace and stability within the empire, allowing Rome to expand without causing too much cultural friction. Reason number 11. Gladiator Games, reality TV show with swords. If you think modern sports are intense, Gladiator Games were like the Super Bowl, but with actual life or death stakes. These games weren't just about entertainment, they were a way for Rome to show off its power and keep the population distracted from any political issues. The gladiators themselves were often slaves or prisoners of war, trained to fight in epic battles for the amusement of the public. These matches weren't just brutal, they were highly choreographed and designed to keep the crowd on the edge of their seats. And the best part? The winners could earn their freedom, becoming celebrities in their own right. So, in a way, the Gladiator Games were like the ancient Rome's version of America's Got Talent, except with way more blood. Reason number 12, political manipulation. Playing the game. Roman politics were just as ruthless as their military conquests. Leaders like Julius Caesar and Augustus didn't just fight their enemies, they outmaneuvered them. Roman politicians were masters of manipulation, using propaganda, alliances, and even more assassinations to maintain power. One of their favorite tricks was offering public services like building temples or hosting feasts to win over the people. It's like modern-day politicians handing out campaign swag. Only in Rome, it was way more elaborate, and instead of yard signs, they had monuments. Reason 13. Public baths. Because hygiene matters. While the rest of the ancient world was still figuring out the whole personal hygiene thing, the Romans were chilling in public baths. These baths weren't just places to get clean, they were social hubs where people gathered to relax, gossip, and do business. The baths were a symbol of Roman wealth and sophistication. Plus, they were incredibly advanced for their time, with the heating systems that could warm the water and create steam rooms. So while the Romans were conquering the world, they were also staying squeaky clean, a true power move. So there you have it, 13 reasons why the Romans became one of the most powerful civilizations in history. From their military might to their engineering genius, Rome wasn't just a random empire that got lucky. They knew how to plan, adapt, and dominate. And let's not forget their epic entertainment like gladiator games and chariot races, which kept the people distracted and happy. Rome's influence is still felt today, from the roads we drive on to the languages we speak. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll be chilling in public baths watching gladiator matches on Netflix. Until then, remember, when in Rome, do as the Romans do.